Well, thank you, and thank you, David, for letting me be a part of this panel and a part of GOPAC. And when Leah began her remarks, she said that there was one thing she wanted you to take away, but her mic wasn't hot when she actually said that. So I'll restate it in the words of Spider-Man. It was, with great power comes great responsibility. I think that was essentially what you were saying. David knows I'm always gravitating towards issues that move the needle with urban voters and with young people. And so I'm going to hit on two this morning that are in that vein. One is, first is school choice, a very specific aspect of charter schools. And so it may be most applicable in Oklahoma, but I think there's a universal aspect to it that could apply as you explore school choice in all of your states. And that is the issue of who can authorize charter schools. And in Oklahoma, we do have a charter school law, so that's good. But we have given primarily the ability to authorize charter schools to the school districts. Well, this is sort of curious because school districts are inherently motivated to be hostile towards charter schools. And so we don't have enough charter schools as a result. We need an entity, in my view, in Oklahoma that is more inherently motivated to authorize charter schools. And in my case, I believe that's the cities. And so again, that's not going to be applicable to a rural district necessarily, because you may not have a city large enough that you would trust that responsibility of authorizing a new public school. But in an urban area, in a large city, which may have a larger budget than the school district does, and in many cases that's true, it makes a lot of sense. And a mayor and council are far more motivated to meet the education needs of their young families in the inner city than sometimes the school district is, because it's not really their concern that somebody wants to move, that would just rather move to the suburbs or move to a private school situation. But it is very much the concern of a mayor and council. So that's a bill that we've moved through the Senate in Oklahoma. We still would like to move through the House. So full disclosure, that's not the law yet in Oklahoma. I'm working on it. But it would give the charter authorizing ability to cities, at least our two largest cities, in my case, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, in addition to the school districts in those areas. So again, the universal application to your states is thinking about whether you have a charter school law or you're thinking about getting one, thinking about who can charter, because you need to give that power to people who are motivated to actually use it. The second thing I want to talk about, switching gears, is something I think about a lot more in terms of appealing to young people. And it's an issue, what I'm going to say is not necessarily something that you instinctively think of as a conservative idea, but I argue to you that it is, and that is online voter registration. And that is not voting online. I know of no place that's attempted that, but about half the states have online voter registration, and in Oklahoma we passed it this year. I think New Mexico also passed it in the last year. I think it's a conservative idea to make government services user-friendly. And obviously we can handle all kinds of administrative and clerical tasks online and are used to doing that, and people in their 20s and 30s know of no other way. The idea of going to a tag agency and picking up a form or then putting it in a stamped envelope is very archaic to some people, and I think we have to appreciate that and respect that a little bit. And I think we as Republicans are smart to embrace the ideas that are embraced by young people that we can. I mean, I understand that not everything is going to mesh with our principles, but I think modernizing government processes like voter registration is absolutely something in line with our principles. We are the party that tries to make government services run more like a business, and I don't know any businesses that don't use websites. And so what's interesting is you sometimes run into folks with online registration who are concerned about fraud, and what I actually found, we actually ended up passing it with very large majorities in a very Republican state, because the truth was, once you really examine the issue, that online registration was far more secure than paper registration. At least in Oklahoma, when you fill out a paper registration form, you merely promise that you are eligible to vote. There is absolutely no verification of that. It is a felony to lie, but there's no trust but verify there. It's just trust. And so in an online system in our state, and I think this is the case in most, there's actually a cross-check. We're going to have a system where you cross with the DPS records, so to assure that the person is trying to register to vote at the place that they actually are living, at least according to their driver's license. So it is limited to people who have driver's licenses, although that is the vast majority of people. It also saves a lot of money, another conservative principle. In Arizona passed this years ago, and they have a record now of I think that online online registration. Each registration costs about a tenth of what a paper registration costs. And it also cuts out the middleman, and which is another sort of security measure. You know, this is going directly to the state election board, whereas a lot of other states, like ours in Oklahoma, we're often handing these paper registration forms to tag agents or strangers at the county fair, and hoping that that information is used properly and reaches its final destination. So I would encourage any Republicans in states that don't have online registration to take up that issue. It is very, very popular with young people, and it is sort of inevitable, so you might as well get ahead of it and take credit for it. That's my view. Thank you very much for this opportunity.